These protesters gathered recently outside the Russian embassy in Kiev to demand the release of Ukrainian filmmaker Oleh Sentsov. Similar protests have been held across Ukraine. Sentsov is serving a 20-year prison sentence in Siberia on terrorism charges widely denounced as politically motivated. He recently declared a hunger strike, demanding Russia release dozens of Ukrainian citizens he considers political prisoners.
Ця акція на підтримку його вдавання і на підтримку його вимог про звільнення українських заручників Кремля.
Tens of thousands of people are about to enter.
Sentsov's supporters are mounting a global campaign ahead of the World Cup in Russia. This video was made by organisers of a protest in New York on May the 26th.
Now is the time to act to help free Oleh Sentsov and the 64 other political prisoners in Russia today. Time is running out.
The director of this documentary, The Trial, made his film freely available to draw attention to Sentsov's plight. It begins with Sentsov receiving the Russian Film Critics Prize for his first feature film, Gamer, in 2012. But he interrupted work on his next film, Rhino, to join mass protests in 2013, which toppled Ukraine's pro-Russian president, Viktor Yanukovych. A native of Crimea, Sentsov was arrested there after Russia annexed the peninsula in 2014.
Сегодня ФСБ России сообщила о предотвращении терактов в Крыму.
That same year, Russian state TV reported explosions had been planned in 3 towns in Crimea. The FSB said a man they were watching, Oleksiy Cherny, helped organise the bombings. He was arrested in dramatic fashion. Cherny said he acted on Sentsov's orders, though he later told a Ukrainian diplomat he was beaten and threatened during his arrest. Sentsov's lawyer, Dmitry Dintser, says Cherny acted alone.
Это было известно только самому Черню. Это его инициатива, это только исключительно его какие-то выдумки, замыслы, и он действовал только в рамках своего интереса.
As it came to court, the case against Sentsov also rested on another man's testimony. That man, Hennady Afanasyev, also told FSB interrogators he was involved and Sentsov was the ringleader. But later, Afanasyev claimed he was tortured, as his lawyer explained.
Также его пытали электрическим током, пристегивали в том числе к половым органам провода и прокручивали. В общем, он полностью вынужден был согласиться, он не выдержал этих пыток.
And when Afanasyev gave evidence, the case took a dramatic turn, to the delight of Sentsov and his co-defendant, Alexander Kolchenko.
Все мои показания ранее были даны по принуждению. Против себя я оказываюсь показания.
Despite this, Sentsov was convicted of terrorism and sentenced to 20 years in prison. He responded with a passionate speech, citing Ukraine's Maidan revolution.
У нас тоже была преступная власть, но мы вышли против нее. Нас не хотели слышать, мы стучали в эти мусорные баки. Нас не хотели видеть власть. Мы поджигали покрышки, в конце концов победили. То же самое произойдет у вас рано или поздно. В какой форме, я не знаю, то есть я не хочу, чтобы кто-то пострадал. Просто я хочу, чтобы у вас больше вами не правили преступники.
Sentsov's family remains in Crimea. His children, 11-year-old Vlad and 15-year-old Alla, usually spend weekends with his 75-year-old mother Lyudmila. He's told them not to visit him in prison, fearing that parting with them could plunge him into depression. Even phone calls have been emotionally wrenching.
Я соскучилась уже. Алина, не плачь. Алина.
Since his conviction, Sentsov has been supported in demonstrations at international film festivals. Industry stars such as Pedro Almodovar, Johnny Depp and Wim Wenders have called for his release.
I'd say, Oleg, you have friends all over Europe. You have filmmaker friends, you have friends in the audience. We're not going to let you down. We're here to try to help you.
This is where Sentsov is currently being held, the Lapitnangi prison colony in the Arctic Circle. On May the 14th, Sentsov announced the start of his hunger strike. In this brief note handed to his lawyer.
Он еще раньше говорил, что голодовка это не метод. Это еще давно-давно. А сейчас почему? Я так думаю, что уже, наверное, его довели до самого последнего.
At a news conference in Kiev on May the 25th, Sentsov's lawyer said he'd recently visited his client. Dinza said Sentsov had suffered from a weak heart since childhood and was much thinner than during his previous visit.
Потому что он сказал, что он будет голодать до конца, соответственно, до фатального конца. Либо выполнит его требования, либо, соответственно, он умрет в тюрьме.
That prospect is inspiring protests in more than 50 cities around the world, from Kiev to London, Washington, Berlin and Moscow. With each passing day, Sentsov grows weaker. His supporters are mobilising to try to save his life.